Welcome to A Home and Healing for Every Child. I'm your host, Melissa. This season, we're speaking with foster and kinship carers, guardians and adoptive parents, sharing honest conversations about what it really means to open your home and support children and young people in care. Caring for kids is meaningful and rewarding work, but it can also be complex and challenging. This podcast exists to bring carers together through real-life advice and lived experience. Whether you're just starting out or have been a carer for years, this space is for you. Let's dive in. Thanks for joining us, Marg. It's wonderful to have you here with us today. I'm very much looking forward to hearing your foster care stories. And I'd like to kick off by asking what led you to become a foster carer, and then the second part of that question is what kept you going after the first experiences you had of kids in your care?
Well, to start off with, as being a single mum, I thought, well, if something happened to me, what sort of person would I want looking after if my family weren't around? What sort of person would I want looking after my daughter while I, if in an emergency? So my sister and I actually they said, I think we should start caring for kids, because you don't know what's around the corner in anyone's life. So that's how I got started. And I don't know, it just, it did my daughter the world of good being an only child. So we just kept doing it, and she had to share, she had to help, she had to do makeup, fingernails if I got little girls, you know what I mean? So it just went on from there.
Wonderful. I think there's many kids that say a big thank you for that. What about surprises about the reality of being a foster carer? What has surprised you along the way in terms of, expectations or any particular experiences that you've had?
No, there's nothing that shocked me really while I was fostering, only that, you just can't believe that some children can be treated like they are when they're your own children, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that you just can't get your head around. Like, there's no way that I could treat my own child or anyone else's child sometimes when I got the children in care. Some are just because their mum needed a break, and everyone needs a break. But you know what I mean? So, but some children, it's just not good, is it? It's not good at all. But we're there to help, to be the safe house for them. I actually had one child ask me, why did they bring me to your house? This is just recently. And I said, because, see that fence out the front? And they said, yeah, so no bad people can go over that fence. Oh, and he said, how do you stop them? I said, well, it's called, I'll ring the police and I'll be here in 2 seconds flat to get rid of that horrible person that, that has made you feel unsafe. Yes. And she went, oh, that makes sense. You're a safe house. Yeah, so, yeah.
And I think that is a common thing amongst foster carers, is that you never get used to the stories you hear about the children or things that you might discover about the children along the way. How do you help yourself manage, the truth of being a foster carer?
Well, I don't think sometimes that you manage it overly well. I think you just cope with it. I think you just cope, and for the child's sake. So you do anything you can to help the child cope in any situation, or whether, because they've just come into your house, they don't know you from bar of soap. So you have to make them feel, as soon as they walk through the front door, you have to make them feel like they're actually going to cope now. Everything's going to be all right. So I don't think it's a matter of you. I think it's a matter of you helping the kids. if you know what I mean. Yeah, getting them to cope.
Definitely. And it's wonderful that you do just cope and that you do just go on, so that you can sustain your relationship with the children as well too. You gave us a good example there of, helping a little one to appreciate, the safety of your fence. Have you got another moment that you could share with us that helped you or perhaps even changed how you understand the children in your care?
When children come to you, they've got nothing really. So I don't think, I think you help them because all the kids are individuals. So you help them in the way that they need the help. It's their need, not their want, their need. So every child that you get, and I've had a lot of children, I've had over 125 children, their needs are all completely different, would you believe? Not their basic needs, don't mean,
No.
they need their hair washed or, they've got hair nits or whatever, or they've got, a sore leg, so you fix it up or whatever. But, I mean, mentally they're all being treated differently in different ways from people that they trusted. So, yeah, I don't know. I just do what I have to do.
Absolutely. And being child focused like that is obviously so important to the job.
Yeah. I don't sort of worry about me so much.
Although we do realise that you kind of occasionally have to worry about yourself, don't you? So you can keep going, keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Yeah.
Every so often it's good to remember that as well.
Yeah.
You've touched on this already as well too, but perhaps you might be able to elaborate on it. What's something that's been harder than you expected, but perhaps rarely talked about in foster care?
Well, I think that I had a disabled child that there wasn't a home for them here because they were 21. So they had to move to a group home somewhere else because they were getting a little bit hard for me, getting older, and whatever. And I think that was hard for them to move away because then you couldn't see them. You couldn't make sure that their everyday needs were met. They were too far away. The phone call didn't cut it. You weren't being told what was happening. You weren't told that they needed this or that or whatever. You know what I mean? And I think that was hard because we live in a rural area. There wasn't the group homes that we needed here. Luckily, we've got more now and we've got more services now. And she wouldn't have had to, they wouldn't have had to go away. But that was hard. That was really hard that you couldn't see them on a daily basis or a weekly basis or go out for lunch and make sure you saw their face. If you see people see them, you know if they're okay or they're not okay. You have to see them. You know what I mean? That was hard. That was hard for her to go away.
Yes.
A long way away. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, when kids age out of care, maintaining that contact that you would usually do with other family members can often be quite difficult, particularly when you might be aware that, they don't have family surrounding them as well too. And like you said, sometimes a phone call's not enough. And how do you manage to create other things for them as well too?
If you need support, training, resources, or one-to-one care coaching, all completely free, you can reach out to Carers for Kids New South Wales.
Visit our website at carersforkidsnewsouthwales.org.au or call us on 1300 782 975.
You spoke initially about the fact that you have an only child yourself, that being a foster sibling was good for her. Are there other ways in which foster care's shaped your home environment or the family dynamics?
Yeah, I think it did. Because, I used to see Chanel was never an only child anymore. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
she was till she was 2, and then she was never an only child, and she's still not an only child because, you know, so she just got used to it, you know, like she's got to go on a trip for her work, and one of our older foster kids that came into our care, you know, when he was about 4, 2, 3, and now he's turned 18 and living where she's going to go for this course, so she's going to catch up to him, you know, like, so that's really nice too. Yeah.
So she well and truly has the sense as you do.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. We see some of them around, but some of them are moved on now and they've got their own family, because we live on the thing that if we can break the cycle with one child, their kids won't be in care, you know, so that's what we're working towards, breaking a cycle.
Yeah, your family dynamic certainly changed from yourself and one child to a much larger family, and it's wonderful that there's obviously still those connections there as well too.
Yeah.
What about, you know, let's drill down to something a little more simple in terms of, well, may not be simple once you explain this to us, but what does a typical day look like for your family?
Well, I've only got one child in my care at the moment, but I do a fair bit of respite. And he's also got a disability as well. So, you know, it's pretty calm. We stay calm. You know, they go off to school. I get time to myself, but I work on committees as well. So he gets used to, we've got a meeting. You know, he's used to just coming along to meetings with me and sitting there quietly. And then he, you know, I say, we can get an ice cream on the way home now, you know, like, so
well done.
I think they fit in. Yeah, they just fit in, yeah. Kids just fit in. They're happy. Kids just fit in wherever they can go as long as they feel safe.
And do you find that the day often involves appointments for the child as well too, that there might be a variety of different things that they go to outside of school?
Yeah, they do, yeah. So you still got, you know, the normal 12 monthly checkups that they have, you know, like teeth, eyes, hearing and everything else, and doctors and whatever, and appointments with paediatricians, and then you got sport, like my little one, he's 10, he started St John's. So he goes off to St John's, even though he's got a disability, he just loves it. Mm-hmm. He goes to tennis. He's starting football this afternoon. So, you know, and he's a long-distance runner. I've worked out. Every year he comes either first or second in cross-country, and he's just good at it, and he doesn't puff.
Awesome.
I don't know where he gets his energy from. I'd like half of it, but anyway. But, yeah, I found he's a long-distance runner. And it's funny how you know, as you go along, you find out their skills, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful too from the perspective of they may not have had people who previously had the opportunity or the time or whatever to find those things. So to have a family where those skills are celebrated is just such a wonderful thing. Where do you feel most supported and where do you feel the system might fall short?
I'm actually really lucky because I don't have a problem with not getting support, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like if I want, you know, like respite, or if I need respite or whatever like that, I just get it with, you know, within a certain amount of time. You've got to give people notice. The only thing that it feels short, that if you're ill or you're having an operation, respite is only a certain amount of days. They don't cater for, you can't actually look after them, and it's not respite because you're not living on a beach having a margarita. You're actually in hospital recovering so you can come back and look after the child. That should not be counted as respite. Sorry. That's their downfall. Yes.
No, and that's a very, very good point for both carer and child as well too.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, and perhaps not just within the system, but perhaps potential foster carers or just people out there, is there anything that you wish people understood about children in care?
Well, just that their wants and needs are different to your own children. Only because your own children, you've been with them since the day they were born. So you know them more than anybody else. You know what they like. You know what they dislike. And I think that it's a learning curve when kids come into care that you don't know what they like. You have to ask them. You have to ask them what sport they want to play, or what social activities they want to do, or to bring out their full potential in the long run. That's my main goal, to find out, I don't know, what their niche is, to find out what they're good at, what their strengths are.
No, absolutely. I think that's a really important thing. And when we first come into foster care as carers, if we've got experience with children, whether that's our own children or perhaps through your career path or whatever it might be, it's hard to appreciate that, even in training and so forth. Until you're actually in it, it is truly difficult to appreciate. And as you very rightly said before, it depends on each child in front of you too. Those needs are going to be different, just as the strengths you will celebrate will be very different as well too.
Yeah. And not only that, it's what happened to them. You have to know a basic. They have to tell you a basic account of what happened to the child, because they might stay awake all night. They might scream during the night. You have to have some sort of basic knowledge of what you're going to deal with in the next, say, 48 hours, which is the most critical when you first get a child in care that's been traumatised.
And with that in mind, Marg, if you were talking to other foster carers about what you first do when a child comes into your care, what do you think are the most important things to do in that, as you said, very important first 48 hours, particularly if you don't have much information?
Yeah, I think, once you welcome them and you introduce them to whoever's in your house, that's the first thing you do. You show them around the house. You show them where they will be sleeping, where the bathroom is, where the toilet is, where their backyard is, where the toys are, or however old they are. And then you have a conversation with them. I mean, like, it depends. It might be, I might get a child at 10 o'clock at night. Are you hungry? What would you like? Or, that sort of stuff, it's just what they like, how to make them feel comfortable first. It's not giving them rules or whatever like that. They have to be comfortable in that first 48 hours. You know what I mean? I just think that's important, that they feel comfortable being in your house so they feel safe.
Yes. The safety piece that you keep coming back to is, so important. And as you pointing out, it can be, achieved through some very sort of simple steps, but very important steps, when you first meet. Is there anything else that you would like to share or recommend to anybody who's interested in foster care?
You won't know what foster care's really like until you try it yourself, or try and find out if you're really interested in fostering. Go and do a course, go and see DCJ, go and see if you can meet some foster parents, because we're happy to have a cuppa, talk about it, tell them what gets up our goat, or, what's good, what's bad, and you will, just to let them know it's not all happy. that sometimes that, you know, like you might get a child that just does not fit into your house, but they might fit into the next carer's house. It's just your home dynamics that, you know, you do change some things when another child comes into your house, even though it's your house. You do have to have that bendy sort of feel about it when other kids come, because they have different, they just got different ideas and where they come from. So it still goes back to where they feel comfortable and whatever. But, I just think everyone should have a go at fostering. If that's what you want to do, I think you should just give it a go, because you won't be sorry. Because
Absolutely.
The kids, you just want them to be safe. I just see too much on TV. I see too much on TV, and I get really angry when someone's hitting a child or something on TV. I go, I just want to smack them. Like they do that again. You just get a bit cranky. You think, no, this is why I foster, because I don't want the kids to be treated like that. I know. You just do it. You do what you have to do. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your pearls of wisdom and for all that you do, and for the many, many children that you've had in your care as well too. It's been great talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of A Home and Healing for Every Child podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and look forward to having you join us for the next episode. Stay up to date with the latest news, stories, training and upcoming events by subscribing and following along on our socials at Adopt Change or Carers for Kids New South Wales.